You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell.
And co-host, Keelan Harvey.
You're a local mortgage experts, and I'm just not going to get over the jingle bells. I'm going to want to take it into 2019.
Santa just keeps flying by.
Love it. We're here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you're listening to our show at a different time of day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to answer any questions or connect you with the amazing guests that we have on the show. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, we have Stephen Cohen of Take It On Today, The Power of Accurate Books. Stephen, thank you so much. First time in studio. We're really happy to have you here.
Pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
And a little bit about Stephen. The most important thing you should know about Stephen is that he is passionate about business owners feeling empowered and making well-informed financial decisions with a partner that they can trust. Stephen is committed to serving small and mid-sized businesses by offering them 24/7 financial services on or off-site. He is flexible and provides his expertise by really listening to what his clients' needs are. Whether you are starting a new business or have been in business for a while, Stephen will support your bookkeeping needs with a perfect blend of expertise and personal service. His goal is to be a virtual resource for your business and create a powerful partnership.
So, Stephen, me and Tina know why bookkeeping is important. We see things.
And I know not to do it. I need to hire somebody else to do it for me.
Yeah, that's one. Going back to one time.
Yeah. Embrace your strengths, iron out your weaknesses.
You nailed it. There we go. Stephen, tell us, why do we need a bookkeeper?
Well, the truth is that there's a lot of business owners out there that would rather not keep their books, that they just love doing what they do, and they would do their books based on what's in the bank account, and when bills come, they pay them. But the real reason you need to do it is you have to do it for the regulatory outside agencies, the IRS, the Department of Revenue, all the payroll agencies. That's the reason to do it for them. But for yourself, you get the information. You get really the straight story about how your business is doing, and you can get it on a regular basis and make decisions. So that's the real reason to do it for yourself.
Yeah, and kind of like in the mortgage industry, whether you love doing bookkeeping or not, I will say that I definitely do not. But some business owners may love that. They may love the hands-on of being able to manage that process. But the reality is you're a business owner, and whatever expertise that you have in your profession, there's only so much time in the day. So being able to be an expert in that and a bookkeeping, which is not your profession, there's not enough time. And so I love that, Stephen, really being able to protect your business by making sure that you're doing what you need to do. So, Stephen, what are the most important things to think about when deciding how to set up bookkeeping?
Simplicity. It's amazing how folks make it so complicated, but they don't realize that the reason they're doing bookkeeping for their own information is also to do a tax return at the end of the year. And if you've ever taken a look at your tax return, it's the simplest thing in the world. I brought in this amount of money. Cost of goods was this. Payroll, there's 10, 15, 20 at most buckets. And then you have a bottom line. So why make your books any more complicated than that? And there's one pet peeve I have, which I'm going to share with folks right now. And that is there are a number of people that have amazing point-of-sale systems that give them all this valuable information. They take their money through the point-of-sale system, and they think that they need to now go duplicate the point-of-sale system in their bookkeeping. And you absolutely do not. They can run side by side. You can have 20 different products you sell in a store, and in your bookkeeping, it all just goes under retail sales.
So efficient, yeah.
The old KISS method never fails, right? So why should you not do your own bookkeeping? Like specifically, what is your thoughts on people that are trying to just do their own books?
I think it's a great idea, especially in the beginning of your business, because you really can learn and you can get a handle on it. And the truth is, business is about numbers. A bookkeeper, $65, $75 an hour. And if you have the time, you do it. But it gets to a point where you start to look at yourself, and Tina, more than anyone knows this, is you really have to value your time. A business owner should think their time is worth a couple $100 an hour, probably, in my opinion. So then it gets to the point that if the money's there and I understand the bookkeeping and I can make sure I can trust and verify what the bookkeeper's doing, then it might be time to let it go.
Yeah, and that's go ahead, Keelan.
No, sorry.
You can interrupt me anytime you want to.
Oh, thanks,
I
Tina.
do it at my share time.
Once in a while, once in a blue moon. It's all about the data, too. How do you project your success and future and where you're really at in your business if you don't even know what's actually going on? I mean, in my business, Tina's business, we're always looking at where our time is best used and what we can do to improve. If you don't even know your temperature, how do you know, where you're at and what you need to do, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And, you kind of already answered my question, but when do you know when to hire a bookkeeper? So you talk about when you first open a business, it's a good idea. But if you're talking to people that are listening to the show right now that have not had a bookkeeper for years in their business, what are they feeling that they know they should take that leap?
Well, I like to be a little of a wise guy because
You are kind of a wise guy,
I'm back
Stephen.
east, and in the moment right here, one of the great ways you know it's time to need a bookkeeper is when they threaten to call this man 2 spaces over to my right.
The attorney.
Vincent.
I mean, if you're married, your
Yes.
spouse will tell you when it's time because you will literally be working on your business 24/7.
Yeah.
You'll be going home you'll be doing the bookkeeping at home because you'll be
point.
too busy during the day, and they'll be
Yeah.
like, "Come on, I want to be with you. I want to
Yes.
hang out."
Yeah.
Tell us, Stephen, what is real-time bookkeeping?
Well, I'd love to say that that's something that I created, but
Yeah.
it really isn't. But what it did was create an entire new career for me in bookkeeping because technology, you basically can connect your
Yeah.
bank accounts, your credit cards, everything right into QuickBooks Online. This is not an advertisement for them, but it sounds like it. And every day you just click refresh, and everything feeds in every day in real time.
Yeah, and technology is so amazing in the spirit of one-timing. It's amazing how technology is so one-timing, not just for our business, but for our personal lives. I mean, gosh, we don't even have to go into the grocery store anymore if we don't want to. And it's going to continue to get, even better as time goes on. So, Stephen, what is Bookkeeping Plus consist of?
That I did create. I'm glad you asked.
I always have such great questions.
I don't like to make bookkeeping sound any more elegant and complex than it is. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a jeweler. Bookkeeping is more or less data entry, in my opinion, if you learn it and you do it right. What Plus is if you've owned a business before and you understand business models, what's an appropriate percentage for cost of goods, cost of occupancy, cost of labor, marketing. You're doing the bookkeeping, but I do it with an awareness because I understand multiple different types of business models. Then I'm able to go back to the business owner and say, this percentage looks too high. They don't often know why they're not making money, but it's sort of doing the bookkeeping with an awareness of what is the business doing, just not seeing a transaction, putting in its little bucket. It's another level of awareness.
Love that.
That's important data. People just get this wild idea of
I love data.
Me too. It's amazing. You can figure a lot out by your data and know where you're at. I've had 5 buddies who are like, let's go open a bar. I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool, but do you know anything about profits or where's your moneymaker? What No, we don't know anything about it. So it sounds like this Plus consists more of a coaching aspect to your business. Is that correct? You
Absolutely,
coach clients?
Yeah. The other part of my business besides bookkeeping is that I'm actually a licensed real estate agent in Washington as a business broker.
Oh, nice.
So I help people sell their business, which means I know how to value a business. So I know what a set of books should look like to give you the highest value when you want to sell your business. And really, from the day you open your doors, you should be thinking about selling your business just because it makes you run it in a particular way, that you make that bottom line look good and it looks valuable to the outside market. Even if you never sell it and you hand it down to your kids or you lose it in the divorce.
Well, we buy. Love how everything just ties in. We strategically invite into studio the best of the best. That's what this show is about. And, what an amazing thing. I'm really a believer in having multiple businesses, but having those multiple business all connect with each other. I own a mortgage software, but it's connected to my mortgage business. I have a coaching program, but it's connected to my mortgage practice. And so I love that, Stephen, that your bookkeeping is you're helping people sell businesses, how to set it up. And so, really when you're a shout out and something to think about from your host here is when you're thinking about a bookkeeper and who to hire and what to look for somebody that can actually advise you through the entire process. So, I love that, Stephen. Tip for small, because I know you really well. We're part of a same networking group together, and Jeanette here in studio. It's kind of fun. We've got a little our little mini group in here, and I know your wife very well, Susie, and she's a business owner herself, and you work with a lot of small business owners. What would be a tip that you would have for a small business owner, something that's really important to them and continue to with growth?
Read the most important book that I think. There's been a lot written. It's called The E-Myth. It's a throwback kind of book, but it basically talks about what you just spoke about. People have something they love to do, so then they think they're going to go do that as their business, but they forget that they're now going into the sales, marketing, and financial management business, whatever you do. So you need to learn and grow those skills. Even if you're making a pie, you're really in the sales, marketing, and financial and maybe people management business, and that's dramatically different.
So true.
It's been bugging me, Stephen, this whole time. The question sitting in the back of my head.
Is that why you're moving so much?
I am. I'm a fidgeter. That's just what I do.
Is Brooklyn, New York the answer?
No. Go Hawks, I guess. I don't know. But I was going to ask, what are some examples of, if you were thinking about being a business owner, what do you see as profitability? It could be anything. Like I've heard teriyaki shops, bars, like people have these crazy ideas. What is a good business, do you think?
The right business these days, I think, is hard to find people, but are service businesses. Because obviously technology is going crazy.
Yeah.
Brick and mortars, really hard. Restaurant, food management costs is tough. But I sold a business last year. Basically a guy who literally bought a couple of garage sweeping trucks and all these high rises that were around right here, downtown Bellevue, downtown Seattle. He sends a crew out at night. They sweep, they clean. This is a service that's never going away.
Yeah.
Seal coating. There's blacktop everywhere. Car repairs. Nobody wants to be in the car repair business. Plumbing, electrician, they're not sexy.
Yeah.
There's no apps, but these things are needed.
What
Buildings
about landscaping?
Yeah, that's another good one. But I'd rather be in California.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be a landscaper, but you can own a company and have somebody else go out and do the job, right? So, Stephen, what about a biggest mistake that you see entrepreneurs make?
It's doing their books in the beginning, but not understanding the basics. Buy QuickBooks for Dummies. I read it.
Yeah.
I'm not embarrassed to say. And not understanding what a journal entry is. And that's kind of, fancy bookkeeping talk, but CPAs...
Is that an explanation for everything that you're...
No, CPAs do them. It's the way you move around. So people just get overwhelmed by their books, and then they just make mistakes. And then one mistake just leads to another, just not understanding basically what double entry bookkeeping is that was created back in the Roman times.
Got it.
So when you hop into a business and walk us through that a little bit. You take a look at the books. Can you share with us like a success story and kind of what that looks like? If somebody takes you on, where do we go from here?
Well, it all depends on where they start. Some folks are, like I have somebody I'm engaging with right now where they've not really done any bookkeeping. They're just doing the bank account system version. So you can do nothing and do business all year and then go on your bank website and download it all into Microsoft Excel and figure it all out. But they want to get into real time. So QuickBooks Online, I hate to say it again, but pretty much those are the only folks I use. I get them on QuickBooks Online. I set up their chart of accounts. The beauty of QuickBooks Online is I'm on the telephone with them and we're saying, okay, look, here's what's going on. We're looking at the same thing at the same time, and I don't have to be in a room with them, and we can do whenever they want. So all of the success stories revolve around QuickBooks Online, where they can go on there, and they're ultimately, half of them, when they do go on, a lot don't, because they just feel so confident and comfortable that I have it.
Yeah.
When they do go on, they go like, oh my God, this is so easy. I can find this information. Wow.
That's so awesome. And I always say when building a team, the biggest thing is to be able to trust and have confidence that they're doing their job. And you need to have a system set up to where you can see from the back end and monitor if there's something that needs help with. And it's kind of the same thing. I mean, they've got all of the data. They can see everything that's happening. So they've got that confidence and not have to worry about that you're doing everything at the very highest level. So, Stephen, as we're wrapping up our time here today, what would be a final share that you would have for our listeners?
Let's move on to the bling, because this is the exciting part.
Oh, yeah, the bling.
This gorgeous woman to my
first
right.
talk about divorce, and then we talk about bookkeeping, and now we're going to bring in the middle, the warm and fuzzy bling. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for joining us in studio. It was a real pleasure to have you here, and of course, looking forward to having you come back.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up next in the Money Hour, creating a personal and emotional investment and celebrating your big wins. Jeanette Baton of Dynamic Designs Jewelry right here at 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.